Okay, and welcome back to this amazing exclusive interview series, Self-Connection in Isolation. I can't believe it. We're up to the 21st of these special interviews with extraordinary human beings doing amazing work in the world. And we've got another two of them. We've got double trouble in the house with Barbara and Allan Pease here today. And these two are such extraordinary souls who I've actually been following the work of since I entered my personal development journey back in 2012. So it's been a journey. So I can't wait to share their beautiful wisdom with you today. So Barbara and Allan Pease are the world's best known communication authors. They are body language experts, authors of a combined 18 best-selling non-fiction books. They've given seminars in 70 different countries, married for 27 years. So much that I just can't, we'd be here all day talking about your amazing wisdom and expertise and everything that you've experienced in this life. But what I mentioned, my very, very first book from you two was, I purchased it in Noosa when I first moved up there. And it was Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read Maps. And it was when I was first studying to help people in relationships. So very, very grateful for the work that you two have done and continue to do. And I would love to start off with asking both of you, what are you most grateful for in your lives right now?
Well, she's grateful for me. That's obvious. Yes. Go on, Allan, ladies first. What are you most grateful for?
Well, we're most grateful for our health and our family and our friends. Without your health and your family and friends, you're nowhere. So that's the biggest gratitude. And the fact that we have the ability to help other people is another very close thing to both our hearts, is that we educate ourselves every day so that we can then pass on that wisdom to the world and make it a better place. So we're very grateful for that.
Well, I think the interesting thing too with COVID, with lockdown, we've been locked in here now for nearly 2 months altogether, haven't we? Yeah. Someone said, like, we've been married nearly 30 years. I said, you ever thought about divorce? No, we have never considered divorce, ever. Murder, that's a different story. Never divorce. But one of the things you find out about being in lockdown that most people watching this would have realised is you don't need that much. You really don't need that much. And our world was ready for a reset. And this is a tough way to do it, but we're all getting a reset. Which has a lot of upsides. There are obvious downsides happening everywhere, but the upsides are that it allows each of us to decide what do we really want, what's really important. And what's really important always boils down to your health, your friends, somebody who loves you, who thinks you're terrific, kids if you've got them. So they're the bottom line, because that's pretty much all we've got at the moment, haven't we?
And our dogs.
Oh, and our 2 dogs, yeah, because see, we're in a business here, we're in the conference business, and keynote speaking for groups of more than 300 people. So that's been closed off worldwide now. So our entire business stopped. Most of our businesses are coming from the Northern Hemisphere. Russia now is closed off and probably be years, we suspect, before that goes again. We have a big music business. We record rock and roll, The Voice. We do Australia's Got Talent. And that's all closed off because you can't have musicians in a closed space. And so it's given us a complete reset.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing about it is there are big opportunities here to decide what do you really want, because pre-COVID, we were, and most people are, so busy running their life and paying the rent and paying for food on the table that we actually don't stop to say what is really important and what do we really want. What are the most important things in life? And that's the positive side, I suppose, if you can call that, of something like the pandemic.
So in the last couple of months, Alan's really focused on, we develop properties as well. So he has been developing all that side of our business. Growing veggies as well. And for me, I've had the opportunity to look at our business and decide, okay, we need to be more online, because the business, we never had to worry. The phones would ring, Alan would be traveling the world doing seminars. That's gone now. So now what we do is we're focusing on e-courses and doing webinars and doing posts, giving people information over the internet. So it's been great. I've never been busier. I've got 2 kids being homeschooled upstairs as we speak, changing the business and embracing all the challenges. I absolutely love it. And I don't think our kids even want to go back to school. They're quite happy to be in their PJs, put their school shirt over the top of it. And then they can come down for morning tea, lunch, and it's a lot less stressful for us. So I think we embrace challenges, and I think that's where some people go wrong. They're concentrating on what they don't have in their life at the moment, whereas we don't even think about it. It's, oh, well, that's gone now. We can't think about that. That'll come back eventually. But where do we go now? And what's exciting? And how can we change our business model? And how can we keep moving forward? And I think that's the greatest gift that you can learn. Forget about what you can't do.
That's right.
Tell me what you can do and get excited
Think about what you can do and what you do want to do, because the focus with a pandemic like this, for most people, because people are losing their jobs and people are losing their businesses. And I mean, in our case, so we have technically lost everything. Everything is gone that we knew in the real world. And you can grieve for a week or two but put a deadline on it, and then think about what do you really want to do, what's really important, and think about what you can do. And most people at the moment are thinking about what they've lost, what they don't have, and what they can't do.
And also, what a great opportunity to upskill. You've got the time. The colleges in Australia were giving courses for free, so people could do it for free online. And all the things that you never want, you always said, oh, I don't have time to do that. You've had the time to do it. Take that time and use it and become a better person.
Oh my gosh, you've already hit us with so many golden nuggets there. And I think such a great attitude to have with COVID, right? Because exactly like you're saying, if people are focused on what they're losing and what they can't control, that creates their reality. So too does having the mindset that you're saying there with, hang on, focus on what you do want, right? Use this as an opportunity, make the most of it. And I want to ask you guys, is there anything that due to the COVID experience right now, has there been things that you've kind of woken up to that you're like, yeah, no, that's not going to be our new normal, that's not really going to be something that's working for us? Has anything popped up that you want to cut out, or has it been more about the focus on the potential and the opportunity for the things directions you want to take?
We don't really have a normal life.
Yeah.
It's definitely not normal.
Yeah. We don't have a normal life, so we are always looking for different opportunities. So we don't have a regular, this is what we do. Probably the only thing that we are changing is that we used to go out to exercise every day, and we've actually found some brilliant apps online, and that's probably the only thing we're going to decide to do, is to stay at home and do the exercises together, because we never really liked going to sweaty gyms. So that's the only thing, but everything else, I think we just embrace change and go with it. And so we say bring it on. And
yeah, see, look, in a pandemic like this where things are going the way they are, nobody cares what sort of car you drive, what sort of jewelry you wear, what sort of watch you have, what sort of title. Nobody cares about that. They care about how do I go with the basics, feeding myself, feeding my family or friends, seeing my mates, looking after my kids if you've got kids. And if you've got good health and if your family has... That's the bank's problem. The bank's got to deal with that. They're not going to come and sell you up. They'll put things off for 6 months or whatever. They won't sell you up. They don't want to go on television and say, this is the bank that sold up some poor devil. So it's big money problems, really, when you think about it, belong to other people you might have borrowed from. And that'll sort itself out long term. But the thing about the pandemic, as I mentioned right at the start, is that you realise you don't need that much. And now that we're all confined at home, it is the most... maybe it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for many people to decide, what will drive me to get out of bed tomorrow with such excitement, I can't wait to go and do it, because we know 87% of people hated what they're doing for a living anyway before this. So of the people that are out of work at the moment, and there are millions, hundreds of millions worldwide, 17 out of 20 didn't like that job anyway. They woke up in the morning going, oh hell, I got to go there again. Okay, this is the opportunity to say, what is I want to get out of bed in the morning that I love so much? In fact, I love it so much, I'd do it for free. If you can identify that, if you can identify what you would do that you love so much, you do it for free, and you can't wait to do it, and you can't get enough of it. If you can pick what that is and turn that into your career and your future, that's where greatness lies.
And that's why we wrote the book, The Answer.
That's right.
The answer is the step-by-step on how to get what you want out of life. And most people don't know what they want. They haven't written goals down and they're floundering, or they picked a career when they were 16 and they're still in it. Like I had an example, a young girl became a dentist at 22 because her mother and father wanted her to be a dentist. And she just said to me, I hate it. I hate being a dentist, but look, I have no options.
Pays the bills, puts food on the table.
And I said, you have so many options. What would you do for free? And she went, oh, I never thought about that. So again, the book, The Answer, teaches them step by step how to write down what you would really, really like to do, and then how to categorize it. So for example, with our business, I never even thought about doing any coaching. And because we're in lockdown, we've now decided that I'm going to do some coaching with people that want one-on-one help. They're lost, they don't know what to do, or they want to be an author and they don't know how to do it. And I've got this wealth of knowledge.
She's a great coach. Yeah.
You know,
coach is me. She's my personal coach.
Overnight, I just turned around to Alan and said, I think I might do coaching. And he went, oh.
You were doing it anyway for free and you loved it, so why not make it part of our new business is where it ended up. I said that most people don't imagine that something they really love to do, like coaching, something Barb's always done and she's great at it. The results you get with people are fabulous, but it's never been a main part of their business up until now, where we thought about it and we thought, well, if you can identify the thing that you really love that you would do for free. And most people say, yeah, but I love, I had a woman said to us, I love talking all the time. Well, so did Oprah Winfrey. She couldn't shut up. You know, she's worth $6 billion, the most famous woman on the planet. I love keeping house and having parties. Well, so did Martha Stewart. Now, if you think about anything in your life that you love, I love playing tennis, of course. So did Roger Federer. Roger Federer doesn't even know how much money he makes. He just wants to get up at 4 a.m. and hit balls and beat the next guy. He doesn't even know how much money he makes. If you can identify those things, whatever the thing is that you love, that you think, oh, I couldn't do it because how can I make money out of it? There are thousands of people who are making lots and lots of money and massive careers out of the things you love.
Yeah.
So why not you? Why can't it be you too?
Absolutely. And I love that you guys have brought this into the equation, and you're ahead of the game because I was going to go there. But, you know, when you said, Alan, you know, if you're not wanting to jump out of bed in the morning, you know, I was thinking about this COVID and I thought about my past life, you know, when I was working for ANZ in mortgages or when I was studying to become a lawyer. Both of those scenarios, when I was at university or when I was working at the bank, where I would have loved this time. What? Like it's all closed down? I don't have to go? That would have been a blessing to me, you know. But now I'm very, very grateful for what I do in this world because I absolutely started doing this stuff for free. And, you know, now I'm grateful for the opportunity to get paid to do what I love. And I love what you guys just shared. And so awesome, Barbara, that you are starting coaching with all the beautiful knowledge and wisdom and experience that you've had. And I wonder, so for people out there who are in this situation where they're having this wake up call to what actually matters, you know, and a stripping away of all the habitual patterns that we can get caught up in. And now this opportunity of time to discover what that is. And I know you guys just mentioned some things to think about, but what's one thing that somebody in that position right now who's contemplating maybe a different direction in their lives could really do today that would help them get that clarity and more direction? And then, you know, booking a session with Barbara, I think that could be powerful, but, you know, just something for everybody to do today.
Yes, you can. Okay, so the first thing they need to do is to get a really gorgeous book, and I want them to start writing down their list, not anyone else's list. No one is involved in this but you. What you've wanted to do when you were young, anything that has ever been in your mind, I want you to write it down. Doesn't matter how silly other people may think it's your list. Don't share it. put it down, keep writing it. And when you've exhausted that list, I then want you to divide that list into A's, B's, and C's. A's are, I just have to do it. Yeah. B's are, kind of want to do it. And C's are, it's always been in my life that if I don't do it, I'm not going to be upset if I don't.
Like tap dancing. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you've done that, one of the things that I say to people is your lists are changing. You will look at your list and one thing will jump out, but your C's sometimes become your A's, and your A's, when you start on the journey, and this is another thing that people think. They think they've picked a goal and I am going to follow that goal through no matter what. I say no, because goals change. And if you go down that path and you're traveling, say your path is to get from here to Noosa, and all of a sudden you arrive in Byron Bay and something else gets your attention, it's okay to go into a different direction. You started that goal, but you didn't know where you were going to end up. And all of a sudden there's a sidetrack, which is more appealing. So there's so many people say, I told people I'm going to achieve this goal. I'm going to be a lawyer. And they started doing the course and it was definitely not for them. Yeah. So, this is the most critical time for people is you've got the time to write a list. Please write a list. And then after that, that's when you start setting your RAS, which you can tell everyone.
Well, the list also has to be in handwriting, because we've known through studies for the last couple of decades that handwritten lists are more powerful and get 2 to 3 times more likely to be achieved. And the reason for that now is fairly clear, that when you're keying into a smartphone or keying into your computer, you're using between 8 and 10 connections of the brain, which is not much. When you're handwriting, the signal's coming straight from part of your brain, down your arm, out the end of your fingers into my pen, and there are 20 to 22,000 connections on average that are operating in the brain. So in other words, by handwriting something, you're emotionally involved. Now, sure, you're going to put it on your computer, you're going to put it on your phone as well, but primary data input, and women tend to generally understand this because women love to create written lists. By handwriting stuff, it's likely to get achieved. If you key it in, it's likely to get lost on the computer.
Well, good thing I'm taking some notes from you guys.
There you go.
Love it.
Yes.
And I love what you just shared, and I really, really resonate with that, particularly, Barbara, when you mentioned don't get so caught up with having to finish what you started. Personally, when I had that inner voice saying you're on the wrong path, you're on that wrong path, and it's getting louder and louder as I went towards the finish line of law, that was the one thing that was keeping me back, because I knew my dad was going to say, you have to finish what you started. And he did say that to me when I got off that path. But at the end of the day, it was the best, it was the most certain I've ever felt in my life, to choose what felt congruent to me, even if I just knew what was wrong for me. That path was no longer the thing that I wanted to go towards. And it's very much connected with what else you also shared with, write your own list, not to the expectations of those around you, which, maybe people in the audience might know the work of another beautiful Australian author, Bronnie Ware, who wrote the book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And number 1 regret of the dying, I wish I had have had the courage to live a life true to myself, rather than one that was expected of me. So brilliant advice from you guys. And I also want to, you've mentioned about these men and women differences, and right now, it's been not only speculated, but they've been doing research into the up-leveling or the more cases of domestic violence coming into play. Did you guys lose me just then?
Yes, start your question about men and women.
Yes, so in regards to men and women right now and our relationships during this COVID lockdown, it's not only speculated right now, but I was just reading some different articles on the increase on domestic violence, people not understanding each other and so forth. And I wonder, it's quite a general, big, broad question that I'm going to ask you, but really I'd love for you to share with our audience, some of the major pieces or components that people just miss that could make all the difference in our understanding of one another, rather than the conflict and the combative nature of our relationships when we're in the pressure cooker of uncertainty?
So the first thing is, men and women are different. They're not better or worse than each other. They're just different. And we need strategies to manage these differences. And one of the key points when I'm coaching people is that people in a relationship want to win the fight. The person that wins that particular fight loses the relationship, because there are no winners in a relationship. They're both losers. So in our book, we came up with all the differences that men and women or male and female brains have. And then we gave them solutions on how to come up with a strategy that we're both happy with. And that's what we do. If something comes up in our relationship, we sit down and we decide, well, what's the solution to this? You know, obviously you're wired this way and it's very important to you. But as a male, he doesn't care about it, but he cares about the relationship. So we come up with strategies like, okay, I am really, really tidy and Allan leaves things lying around. So I have an area in the house where it's if I see something that annoys me, I pick it up and I put it in that room.
It's an agreed area. It's an agreed area.
Yeah.
Because I'm a typical guy. I like to leave things in pieces, spread in locations, so that I can see them. And in my mind, I'm putting them together. And the majority of males are like this. So Barbara collects it all. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Collects it all together and puts it in a corner. But if I need to go and find it, I know where it's going to be. It's going to be in that corner.
Yeah.
And so instead of having conflict about, oh, you're leaving this here, you're leaving that, pick that up, no, I won't do that. We just have a simple solution. And that's what everyone in their relationship needs to come up with, because COVID virus has pushed us together 24/7. Now, Allan and I are used to that because that's our life.
Anyway.
But the amount of people that said, I'm going to kill him or I'm going to kill her, because they've never been in a situation where it's 24/7. They've gone to work. The woman has always done the housework. So in this COVID situation, men think, oh, I can just sit around doing nothing because it's not my job.
My father did it. My grandfather did it.
Exactly. So again, it's sitting down and saying, this is a different world at the moment. We have kids running around which are driving us crazy. We have our partner taking our space. You know, women have been saying to me, I could do whatever I wanted during the day. Yeah. Now I can't. I have this person who says, oh, what are you doing?
Got another child.
What are you doing? What's for lunch? What's for breakfast? What's for dinner? So
I didn't want to marry a child. I want to have one.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it's coming down to strategies, and you know, maybe a strategy is your partner goes and takes the kids for a walk while you do dinner and you swap around. My daughter's 12, and this morning she found a recipe on how to make a pancake out of bananas and eggs. So she's whipping up. That wouldn't have happened if she was racing off to school. Yeah. She wouldn't be doing that. So, you know, there's lots of strategies that you can enlist. But the first thing is you have to identify that you understand there is a difference between a male brain and a female brain.
And this is hard too, because we're living in a world where it's politically correct and socially popular to go around pretending to each other that men and women think the same way, want the same things, have the same goals and objectives. And if you've had any experience with the opposite sex, you'll know that is just not true. You know, they're crazy, those people. They really are nuts. Now, they think differently, they behave differently, not better or worse, differently. So Barb comes up with stuff sometimes, and I say to myself, what is this about? I don't know what this is about. In fact, she's probably joined three things together, sometimes in the one sentence. I haven't got a clue what's going on.
Vanessa would understand.
She know how you go. That's because with female brains are organised with 30% more connections on average between the left and right brain. And they're not compartmentalised like men's brain. Most male brains, we do one thing at a time. We do it damn well. Outside that, it's difficult. It's a bit like trying to walk and chew gum at the same time. It gets very difficult. Like if a guy falls on the side of the road and someone's giving him a mud map, he pulls his car over, he pulls the mud map out. The first thing he does with the radio is what? He turns it off. And women have never stopped to say, he's turning a radio off, hearing, to read a map, navigation, what's going on. Well, it's scanned his brain. You can see it. He does one thing at a time, and that becomes your strategy for dealing with any male, whether he's 5 years of age or 65. You give them one thing at a time, which is difficult for female brain people, because female brain people have the ability to do 2 to 4 simultaneous unrelated tasks. Like I'm thinking Barb on the telephone talking to someone on Bluetooth, while engaged visually with her own PA in another conversation with someone else, giving signals, or drinking tea with her right hand and typing an email. And how do you do that? I don't know. I can do any one of those things. I do it really well. But outside that, it's too difficult. And so we are very different. And this is what you want, because, see, men and women are drawn together because of differences. That's what attracts us. But if you don't acknowledge that these differences are real and they have an evolutionary background, a lot of biology in this, if you don't accept that, what you're likely to do is try to change them to make them like you. Now, the bottom line is, Vanessa, you don't want to wake up in the morning and have to look at you, right?
How boring.
I don't want to wake up and look at me. I want to look at her. This is pretty good. However, I need to make sure that I understand that there are things that she says, thinks, and priorities that she has that aren't priorities for me. Things that she finds important aren't necessarily mine, and vice versa. The things I think are really important, and she just thinks, no, that's not important, irrelevant, or perverted, as she's always called me. But these are differences that we have. If you understand them and acknowledge them, as Barb said, then your life can be really, really good. We've been together nearly 30 years, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. How the hell did we do that?
You're lucky.
You just can't resist me. Can't resist.
I've got a really interesting story, which most women would go, oh, how could he do that? Yeah. But with me and with Allan and I, we actually love it. So when he's over in Russia, and I've been with the kids and I've been running the business, and he's been over there for, maybe 2 or 3 weeks doing seminars, we have an agreement where Allan will listen to me, because most men, when they listen to women, they go, oh, I've got to solve her problems. Well, why don't you do that? Why didn't you do this? How about this? Well, to the men out there, we don't want you to solve our problems. We just want you to listen.
Be present.
Yeah. So Allan thought he was being really clever, and he had his computer talking to me on Facebook, and he had the TV, and he was watching Law and Order. And
you can hear it in the background.
Yeah. And I'm downloading, and he's thinking, I'm getting away with this. She doesn't know that I'm actually watching TV and just going,
Just adjust the laptop so the camera's below the TV.
But I knew that he was doing it, but I just wanted to download. That's all I wanted. I wanted him to listen. And when I did want him to think about a solution, I would say, I've thought about a few solutions, but what do you think I should do about X, Y, Z? And then he'll go, oh, okay, what was that again? And then he'd talk to me. But most women don't understand that, teach your husband to listen to you. Don't solve your problems, you're downloading. It's like if I had a problem and you had a problem, we would just be talking and talking and talking and listening to each other and going, how did you feel? Oh, I can't believe they said that. What happened next? We're feeding, but you're feeling good. And you might ring your mother and say that, have the same conversation, but at the end of the 2 conversations, you feel it's gone.
You're relieved.
It's okay.
Well, the 2 main reasons women speak. One, the number 1 reason is bonding and rewarding. In other words, if she likes you, she's buying what you're saying, she wants you to be a friend, she's going along with it and is likely to say yes. One of the first demonstrations is she starts to talk. So words are a social glue primarily for women. I love you, I like you, here's a bucket full of words in unrelated order, you work it out, which for men it can be very difficult. And the second reason women talk a lot, as you would know as a woman, is stress relief. So if something is really bothering you as a woman, talking it out is the way to go. Where male brains go the other way. If we've got a problem, we stop talking altogether. Now, talking for women equals social glue equals love. Not talking means somebody's not happy, somebody's upset, they don't like me. So she sees him and he's not talking. So she assumes, from a female standpoint, he's not happy with me, he doesn't love me, he doesn't like me. But in fact, he's miles away trying to figure out how to solve this problem. Now you start to talk to him and he thinks, well, she's telling me all the problems.
Hang on.
I'll recapture that from mid-sentence. I'll recapture that question from mid-sentence. What are we talking about?
I think she was telling all the problems.
Yeah. So she decides to what we call downloading. and that is burn up the words that she hasn't used. So she's downloading. Now, the purpose of downloading is stress relief in its prime purpose. So Barb's on Skype and on Facebook, and she's downloading about what's happened that day and who she saw, what they said, and what happened. And I'm sitting on the bed in Russia with my laptop with the camera just below the computer so I can watch the news and watch Law and Order. Now, a woman said to me, "Oh, that's cheating, Alan." Well, it's not really, because you don't want me to say anything, right? All a woman wants you to be, and if you're a man listening to this, this is one of those aha moments. When a woman's talking, it's likely to be stress relief, that she doesn't want you to say anything. You just have to be present during the download.
I don't just stand there blank face. You have to feed back like a woman. Oh, and how did you feel about that? Get her to get all her feelings out.
Really? Did you? Oh, what happened then? No. Oh, Channel 9. Yes. Oh, that cop's really bad. Yes. Wow. How about that?
But on the other hand, when a man needs his quiet time and needs to go back into his nothing room, women need to understand that and need to say, do you need some time to think about it? And give them the 30 minutes of quiet time. Let him have a beer, let him sit in front of the fire, let him do whatever he needs to do. And you go and do what you need to do. Don't keep saying, tell me the problem, I might be able to help. Because what you're saying is, I'm better than you, I can solve your problem, you're not man enough to solve it yourself. That's how a man is thinking. Whereas as females, we'd be saying, to each other, I can help you, what can I do to help you? But men don't want that. They want to solve the problem.
You don't offer unsolicited solutions or advice to any man, because while you're trying to be helpful, and if you offer unsolicited advice and solutions to one of your female friends, they'd be really grateful and happy that you're trying to help them to improve a situation. But most men perceive this as, you don't think he's good enough to be able to solve this problem. In fact, you're better than telling him what to do. So he definitely doesn't want to do whatever it is you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. And this is so key what you guys are sharing. And it brought back one of the memories when I first started learning about your work. I did see a video, I think on YouTube, from Allan talking about, this difference with women with the ball of wire and men with the nothing box. And it's so funny. I love that you guys bring such humor to these concepts that make it the listener, able to actually receive it and take it on. It's not like you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. It's, hey, let's have a bit of a joke around the truths here. The reality.
That's the big thing, is that what Barb sees as priorities, as I mentioned before, what she says is important. A lot of those things, as a man, I don't even acknowledge them, let alone think they're important, because they're not important to me. Whereas things that I think are important and significant, she just thinks, why would you waste your time doing that, thinking about it? However, understanding these differences, we don't criticise each other. We know that's the difference. So therefore, I will take action that will solve what her needs are. And this is back to basic selling. Find out what your customer wants and deliver it to them. Doesn't matter that you don't understand why they want that, but there are certain things that she wants in her life, things she wants me to do and say. And I'll do those things, even though I don't personally value them myself, but I know she values them. So I will do that because I want to get the reciprocal benefit here.
Smart man.
Yeah. It's taken me 30 years to figure this one out, Vanessa.
I love it. And I want to ask you guys, because it was my experience when I started in the realm that I in coaching, it was all about relationships. It's so juicy. There's so much life here. And I do believe that it's your intimate relationship that's really the vehicle for your greatest growth in life. But what I was finding after coaching couple after couple after couple, and I used to do that with my ex-partner, we were finding that it didn't, there was a lot of these concepts that weren't landing for them because they weren't feeling good within themselves first. And what I wanted to ask you guys is, if there are couples out there who are having a terrible time, they're not managing conflict, they're starting to listen to a message like this and go, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But maybe they're just not feeling very good within themselves. They're feeling very unstable or uncertain, not happy, not fulfilled. What advice would you give to those people to help them to kind of build themselves up so that they can come to the relationship and give more appreciation and understanding of the differences on the relationship aspect?
Well, first of all, they need to admit that to their partner, that I need to work on myself, and these are the things that I'm struggling with. And when you see me going through this, Rather than criticizing me, you need to embrace me and say, I can see you're having a hard time. Let's make it a journey for both of us. What is it that you want to work on? Let's find out what you need to work on, and let's work on it as a team. Because if I'm struggling with something, then I will say to Allan, I'm not in a good space at the moment. I need to work on this, this, and this. I'm not feeling great about it, but I'm going to have a strategy. And then Allan will say, what can I do to help? So it's very much a partnership, because if you have someone who's not feeling good, the relationship will not work. It's as simple as that. You both have to be in a good space. And if there is an argument, like if I was not fit, like if I was during the monthly cycle, I was not logical. And I would just say things, and then Allan I could see the look on his face.
I'm sending you to Afghanistan, because over there, women in your condition fight like animals, retain water for 4 days.
And so I could hear myself, and I could tell by Allan's voice, and he would go, and I'd say, you know what, it's not good to talk to me at the moment. I'm not stable. And, the hormones are playing havoc with me, and I need some time to just reset. And he would go, take your time, go for a walk, go for a swim, go and do something, go shopping, whatever you need to do to settle me down, because there's no good arguing with a woman when the hormones are not right. You will never win.
No, there's only 2 ways to argue with a woman, 2 ways, and neither of them work.
So again, it's if your partner needs to understand that you need to do some work on yourself and not be critical or judgmental, and he needs to look at himself and look at whether he needs to improve in some areas, and it becomes a joint research and joint strategies, and then once you both feel good about yourself, then look, it might be with weight. Sometimes if I put weight on, I'll say to Allan, I don't feel really happy with myself at the moment. I put on weight.
What's the matter, Chubbs?
Yeah, he does. And so I just say I need to get myself focused again. I've been eating too many chocolates, which I love. So until I get myself to a weight where I feel happy with, I'm going to be picky, or I'm just not in the great headspace. And he works with me. So he'll say, come on, let's go for a walk. And if I go to reach for a chocolate, he goes,
You've got the right hand gesture, right hand body language. So the problem with weight for most people is their right hand. Because they go to the supermarket and their right hand goes like this, it's grabbing stuff. So if you make no reaching gesture in the supermarket, if you had to do it all with your teeth, you'd have a whole different shopping basket.
Yeah, so I think it's so important for you to feel right, and then you can work on your relationship together.
Yeah, but also, if you're struggling, look, if you can't work it out yourself or with your partner, if it's an issue you've got yourself, you can get professional help. There are lots of good books you can read. There's YouTube. There are consultancies like yourself and like Barb. There's professional help with psychologists who are relationship experts who can help you solve this. And relationship counselling. Oh, I'm a man. Don't talk about that. I don't need that. That's for sissies and wusses. Well, no, they're very effective relationship counsellors. They don't tell you what to do. What they do, they just hold up a mirror, get you to look at it, and then they ask you questions, and you figure it out yourself, because we kind of know the answers ourselves. And the reason getting external help, if you need it, is important, because you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't love yourself, it's hard to even sometimes acknowledge or recognise that. And then you need some sort of strategies and plan to be able to get around that.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you going to say something then, Barb?
Oh, yes.
You're always going to say something.
We were at a doctor's appointment yesterday, and the doctor was just chatting and said, do you need some motivation to get yourself ready for what we're going through? And I said, yeah, we do ourselves. We don't, like the... put each other when one's down. the others up, and then we change. And that's been our whole challenge, because Alan's challenging. He's got cancer, so we always have that challenge of beating the cancer, which we do and will continue to do. So, but when you go to a doctor, there's lots of doom and gloom. Oh, you've got cancer, and here's the statistics, and you know this might happen. And I always go, oh no, that doesn't happen to us. We don't like that statistic. That's over there. We're just going to move forward. Great diet, we exercise, and our mind is the most powerful thing that we have. So we are just going to focus on all the positives, but leave the negatives over there. Someone else can have them, not us.
It doesn't matter what it is in your life it can be a problem, such as things like a serious illness or COVID and all the things that go with it, is that you need to focus on what you do want and what you can do. And under times of stress, human nature is to defend itself, and we think about what we can't do, what we haven't got, what we've lost, and then people can get into a point, if you think long enough about that's called depression.
Yeah.
Depression is just constantly thinking about what you don't want. And the great news is you can make a conscious decision. You can talk yourself out of depression. And the way you start that is you put a deadline on it. Say, by Friday next week at 4 o'clock, I will be a positive, happy person who will only think about what I do want. And
what I can do.
This is a real story for me too. We went down financially down the plug hole back in the 80s. We lost everything we owned: houses, boats, cars. We were really the wealthiest people we ever met after coming from housing commission, state housing, and we lost it all. And then I finished up after 3 years of this in a depressed state, which I didn't know it was. She told me I was. I said, that's not possible, because I'm a motivational speaker. I couldn't possibly. and so I decided on a Monday that Friday next week at 4 o'clock, I would become an undepressed person. And this is an interesting thing. It's simple, but it's not easy to do, but it can work. We've given this advice to many people who are in a point of depression, which with COVID, there's a lot there. They're losing their jobs and losing what they know is real life. Is put a deadline on that by a certain date, by next Wednesday at 12 o'clock, I will become an undepressed person. Normally you need a bit of time to get used to the idea. Plus, if there are people you need to stick it into before you become an undepressed person, that gives you the time to do all that as well.
Yeah.
They can be as miserable as they like at that time, because you've got the deadline. You've got that time where they're going to be, you get your running mate back.
So after 4 o'clock on that Friday, I said to Barb, okay, I'm back. We will only think about what we can do and not what happened. Not all the bad. We had a very bad financial run. We lost everything we'd ever known. It was taken away. We lost it all through bad judgment on our part. And I'd spent 3 years thinking about what had gone wrong. And typical of men who go through this, I blame myself for it. All women tended to handle it. Barb handled that pretty well, I thought, that whole situation.
Well, that's where one is strong when the other one is feeling weak. So
put a deadline on depression, and then just decide from a certain date, a certain time, you will only think about what you can do and what you do want, and absolutely point blank refuse to even discuss or think about in your mind what happened in the past, because that becomes a habit. And if it's a habit, it's called depression. That depression is constantly thinking about what you don't want. Now, if you go to medicos, they'll probably put you on some sort of drugs to try to increase the serotonin in your brain and straighten things up. But it is possible, we now know, that you can make a decision to be undepressed, and you can reverse it and start creating your own serotonin and other happy chemicals.
And that's, again, a team situation where you give a commitment, and the other person accepts that you're going to be miserable for that particular time, but then they get their partner back at the end of it, and then all you focus on is moving forward. What are we going to do next?
Yeah.
I love that. Everything that you just shared is so powerful and so applicable to what's going on in people's lives right now. To know that there is light at the end of the tunnel and you're in control of it if you choose to be, and to give yourself, that time. But one of the things that really came up also was this concept of team that you guys mentioned, right? Because I don't know, like if we're going to go through the struggle, like you kind of want somebody on your team, right? It's better than going alone. And the common theme of what I saw you guys share so beautifully is this way of being vulnerable with one another, taking responsibility for how you feel, being able to express that to that person that you want on your team, and to be able to, give each other space. Because a lot of couples, you guys would know, don't do that. We project our pain onto our partner. We just want them to change. They should be doing that differently. We're not taking responsibility for how we feel and what's going on. And we create all this unnecessary disconnect, which is the opposite to what we all need, particularly when we're not feeling good, when we are hit with challenging circumstances, and we do end up in depressive states. So I really, really appreciate everything that you have absolutely shared with us. I would want to keep you here all day long and dive super deep, because I've got a million questions I'd want to ask you, but I do want to be respectful of your time and wonder if there is, before we, I'm going to have everybody linked up to all the amazing links and everything that I've got from yourselves, but I would love to, before we share those, for you guys to share any valuable or important message that comes up for you to share with our audience, knowing that they're a global audience, all hit with the same pandemic, the same circumstances, where we're all more the same than we are different. You know, so I'd love to hear from you guys what your thoughts are there.
Well, it's an interesting time, and you're absolutely right. It's the first time probably in human history that each one of us is thinking and feeling exactly the same thoughts, whether we're in India or in the US or whether in Antarctica, Iceland or Australia. We think the same things right now. We have the same fears. And the thing about, as we mentioned earlier, about setting goals of things that you want to get out of bed tomorrow and want to go and do, is that if you can think of something, that means you have the wherewithal within you to do it. Because if you actually couldn't do something, your brain would not allow you to think of it. And this has been an interesting revelation in recent years. I found this with brain scans. If you can think of it, you have the wherewithal somewhere to do it. Because if you didn't have that, you couldn't think of it. So if you could think of being the president or the prime minister, you thought, yeah, I could do that. Well, that means, yeah, you could probably do that. You've got what you need. But if you couldn't imagine yourself doing it, that means that you don't have whatever it is going to take to be able to do it. So only think about what you do want. And if you can put it in your mind, that means you can actually do that. Because anybody who's great at anything, it's just started with a thought in their mind. They just thought about what they might like to do, and that's where it began.
And my suggestion is be kind to yourself. Just go for what you really want. And if you fail, I get excited when I fail. I'm like, oh, wow, I just learned a lesson. Now, okay, how do I do it better? How can I be a better person? Or if someone puts a roadblock up, because lots of people, when you say you're going to do something, they'll go, what about this? What about that? And they'll give you all these big roadblocks. And I'm always looking at that roadblock going, will I climb over? Will I go under? Maybe I'll go to the left. Maybe I'll go to the right. It doesn't matter. Fear is normal and it's great. And failure is even better, because most of the successful people in the world have failed, but they come back bigger and better because they've learned. So be kind, follow your heart and your instinct, and go for it. Take life. We've only got one, so let's have the best time.
That's right. That's why when you write your handwritten list, you don't show it to dream stealers and emotional vampires, because they will suck you dry, and they'll give you all the reasons why you can't do it, shouldn't do it, because you're too old, too young, too blonde, too dark, too fat, too thin, too old, the economy's wrong, COVID virus. There's every reason you could ever think of as to why you should not start right now with something. And that's why only show your list or discuss it with people who are currently successfully doing what you want to do or have done what you want to do. Otherwise, people can only give you their reasons why they couldn't do it.
Oh my gosh, what a brilliant note to finish on. And I can definitely attest to that. You've got to be careful, you know, those dream snatchers, they'll snatch them right out of your clasps before they even get to fruition. So I love that. And I really just want to acknowledge both of you, Allan and Barbara, for the phenomenal human beings that you are, for the brilliant work that you do.
Vanessa.
Absolutely. No, you absolutely are. And, you know, just...
Hold me, since you don't.
No, it's the authenticity and the heart that you bring to everything that it's so easy to see. You know, the authenticity, the heart, the desire to do good in other people's lives. And I really, really appreciate having a couple like you guys as well, who can role model for us all, you know, to understand our differences, to be able to bring humor and have fun with it rather than try and change people. Because I don't know who said it, but it's always rings true to me. If there's two of you, one of you isn't necessary, right? So we want to have those differences, and really, really appreciating you guys. I know I lost you for a second then, but thank you so much for your time, and many people are going to get so much value from this.
Oh, our pleasure. Thank you.
Vanessa.
You take care.
Thank you so much. Yes, and I love the new handshake.
Germ-free.
Germ-free. And from the heart.
From the heart. Much love.
See you.
Okay, and I'll just stop the recording.